To introduce again Professor Adnan Yahya. He's from the Faculty of Information Technology, and actually he is, as I said before, the Vice President for Academic Affairs, but also after midnight he started doing research. Maybe even after midnight. So he is actually working in logic, so in reasoning before. And so artificial intelligence in general, and recently, or maybe well, not recently, I'm making a mistake, since several years, he started the natural language processing line, and he will present several activities they are doing, especially because also they have a project funded by Google directly on doing Arabic natural language processing tools.
شكرا دكتور مصطفى. مساء الخير للجميع. مظبوط زي ما حكى دكتور مصطفى. هلا انا بلبس الطاقية الاخرى. So this is my other hat, so I hope it works better than the other one. So I'd like to welcome again our guests from all over, and it's a pleasure to be with you. As Dr. Mustafa said, we have been working on a project that's also sponsored by Google, but Google support actually came at a later stage. This effort started as a graduation project for some of our students, and actually when we started the project we wanted to go in a different direction, but I think the contribution of the students was so great that it just we changed direction, and I will be presenting some of the things we have been doing since then. My co-author and the worker on the project is Engineer Ali Saleh. Ali is down there here, so you will see him. So my talk is titled Efficiency Enhancement Tools for Arabic Search Engines, a Statistical Approach. So first I will give you some introduction and motivation, describe some of the tools, how we are using the structures we are developing. I'll talk about two specific problems. One is that of Arabic PDF files, and the other is person names, tools, and methods. So we all know that the web is rapidly expanding. True Arabic content is still lagging behind in so many ways, but most of us do agree that the status quo shouldn't continue and changes should be affected there. So while the Arabic content is not even proportional to the population of Arabs in this world, this means that so much needs to be done. But I think content alone will not solve many of our problems, because you could have all the data in the world on the web, but a major issue, or probably the major issue, will become how to access that data, or how to get some knowledge from that data. And as we all know, when we are dealing with Google and the likes, it's not useful if I issue a query to a search engine to return too much or to return too little. So what else can we return? We would like to return basically the things we are looking for. And of course, this is much easier said than done. I'm saying here that returning too little is not sufficient, but also returning too much may not be useful. so sometimes in order to achieve the goals of getting what we want, we may require the system to search for much more than is given by the user, and frequently we would ask the search engine to search for less of what's given by the user. And issues like document structuring, user profiling, and using NLP tools are part, for us at least, are part of the solution to the problem of accessing data on the web. And I must say that many of the problems we are dealing with are, of course, present in other languages, but we seem to be making the thesis, many of them are a little bit more complicated in Arabic, and I assure you some of them are real complicated for Arabic. That's of course because of the nature of Arabic language, the nature of the Arabic script, and so on and so forth. Okay? So what we did in the project is we decided to look for practical rather than theoretical solutions. That's a little bit a hobby for me, because usually I look for solutions that are logical, strict, and formal. But in this case, we decided to go the other way. Of course, we may discover later that maybe the solution is somewhere in between, but so far this is what we have been doing. Somebody is calling? Okay. So we have been dealing with an Arabic corpus and an Arabic words database. We worked on so-called stop word list, and we also tried to tackle the issue of Arabic corpus measures. We tried to figure out how to measure the quality of an Arabic corpus. All through our work, or at least in the major part of our work, we have been employing statistical methods. That meaning basically there is an implicit assumption there that whatever people are using, we interpret it as sort of the correct way of doing things. So if people are mostly misspelling something, we still treat that as an input that has to be reckoned with. We started with contemporary data and obtained initially from several newspapers, but we also tried to diversify our corpus. Then we expanded it with other available sources, and here not without major problems, because I'll probably point to some of these problems a little bit later. We also wanted to show that the corpus quality is adequate. We wanted to show that at a certain stage you can stop and say, okay, now I have enough of the data I need and I don't need to add anymore. So that not to enter into an infinite game of collecting data before being able to make use of it. These are some statistics. I think they may not be very informative, but and even with the data that we are having, we are still thinking of expanding our work on more direction. For example, we have been collecting a corpus for Arabic in general, but we are thinking very much of dividing that or collecting corpora for several topics in Arabic. We have been having better access to certain types of data, but we are looking for other sources of Arabic data, so we would like to go into like books and journals and so on and so forth, not limiting ourselves to newspaper. We want to go also multi-regional, meaning that, I don't know, Dr. Mustafa was mentioning that some of the words we use in different areas of the Arab world may be different, so we don't want to have our corpus totally biased towards the region we are giving. And one, of course, could talk about modern standard Arabic versus dialects. And we also, at different stages, in a little bit different way than Dr. Mustafa is using, we try to use translation tools to gain access to some data. And also, we wanted to develop structures for efficient storage and manipulation of data. I will go very, very fast here. One of the works we try to do is that of compiling an Arabic stop word list. Basically, that's the words that are very frequent in a language, and supposedly they should be like skipped. They may not be a good indicator of the type of text and so on and so forth. So we did it with some detail. What I can point to is that the number of Arabic stop words is much larger than that of English, and that has to do with the nature of Arabic writing. So, for example, we had like 1,000 stop words in Arabic, as opposed to say like 360 or something like this for English. And once we designed this, once we collected this infrastructure, we tried to use it for several purposes. And here I'm mentioning some of the ways we used that data. So we developed something we call Arabic language detection, because Arabic script or Arabic alphabet is being used for at least several languages. You have Urdu, you have Farsi, you have so on and so forth. So we wanted to make sure that when we are accessing data, then it's really in Arabic. We tried also to work with categorizing and sub-categorization. So basically, categorization meaning assigning a certain category to a text. Sub-categorization meaning that once you know the category of that text, can you be more specific? You know that text A is in the field of sports. Can you tell whether it's in like football or rugby or I don't know, tennis and so on and so forth? We also work with Arabic query suggestions and modification, elimination, and expansion. And also we were thinking, or we have been thinking about the idea of dealing with Arabic names. Whoever is familiar with the way people write their names in Arabic can appreciate that this is a real problem for us. There are some words that can be written in so many ways, and if you are looking for a particular name, you must be aware of that, let alone if you are talking about translation or transliteration. We, for example, found that the name Muhammad has at least, how many? 28 different writings in, different transliteration, and one has to be aware of these things. So I'll pass through the methods and tools we have been working with quickly, but for the Arabic language detection, basically we employed something that deals with spell checking. So basically, if we want to detect whether a text is really Arabic or not, we have to spell check it, at least spell check the component that is in Arabic script, and depending on the ratio of errors that we find, we will be able to tell whether that's an Arabic or not. And of course, well, we had a derivative tool I will not talk about, but this is the basic idea. And this was very essential for us so that the data we are collecting doesn't get corrupted by the incorporation of many texts that are not really in Arabic but use Arabic script. Also, we were talking about categorization, and we had done some work, as I said, for both categorization and sub-categorization, or sometimes we even experimented what we call multi-stage categorization. And I just need to say here that the infrastructure for the different stages of categorization may need to change. For example, I don't know if that's very familiar to all who are present, but if you are talking about stop words in a language, they may be quite different from the stop words in like a single category. If you want to talk about sports, then the idea of having maybe playground and referee and so on and so forth may be essential for putting a certain text into the category of sports. But if you are subcategorizing, then the terms referee, ball, and so on and so forth may revert to being like stop words. And we experimented with that, so I'll just go faster. I told you about the ideas. Here too, we developed something to auto-suggestion. So you start entering data and the system will try to like guess whatever you are trying to enter. Of course, this sounds very familiar and quite simple, but it's not always like this. And the source of the trouble may be that you even, in Arabic, you even could start your query the wrong way based on common mistakes. So if you are writing the name of a person and that person is Ahmad, you may start entering Ahmad with the wrong letter. So any attempt at something like completion may not work, but you have to go a little bit deeper. This is, of course, not very advanced, so sometimes you need to process the query by eliminating certain words that may not mean much for the query. And this is an example, somebody asking this question, ما هي التعددية, then it's very likely that you will not be going for ma and here. You are interested in whatever has تعددية in mind. And the expansion thing is basically, you shouldn't be looking for exact match of words, but rather you should also consider derivative words. And in Arabic, derivatives can grow dramatically. I think we have some examples. So this is something that darasa means study. And if you talk about study, then each and every one of these words, and there's quite a number of them, can be related, can be associated with this concept. So this is where you may want to expand the query so that the search is not limited to the keywords, but rather to the derivative words as well. And here is the idea I told you about. Sometimes you've noticed that for even Google, you may start entering data that is not correct, and the system for us should try to predict what it is that you are trying to say. So for somebody who is familiar with the language, you try this, and this is not really an Arabic word, or it may be an Arabic word, but it may not be a very frequent Arabic word. So the system will try to give you some suggestions or try to predict what is it that you are trying to say. And we thought that it would be smart to try to give you suggestions that better match your needs or your demands. For that, we needed to organize some sort of a ranking system for possible suggestions. And I'll tell you, this is I'm continuing with that example, but maybe this will be interesting because we try to rank our choices by considering quite a number of errors that are maybe characteristic to Arabic. And these are the following. So frequency is one term, how frequent that error is. The second is shape, so-called shape similarity. I'm sure whoever is familiar with Arabic notes that it's frequently the case that the letters differ from each other by a very minor detail, and people tend to confuse these letters. So we give that away. Letter location on the keyboard, that's another thing that people confuse. And the soundings, I know, once more, when we speak sometimes there is a difference between the way we speak and the way we write. And the reason for that is that the words look similar. So sometimes, maybe for a foreigner, a non-Arabic speaker, the frequency may not be real, but for us, if you are looking south or south, then there is quite a difference. So we are taking that into account, and we are just defining the rank as a weighted sum of these parameters, and we've experimented with the right weights. There's no claim here that these are the perfect weights, but according to our experimentation, these are the weights that gave us the better results. These are examples of error entries and how they are being handled by the system. We even tried to do some testing, and the testing was maybe promising, but not perfect, of course. So we are talking about like 80% of correct predictions. Again, here just I'm giving just a brief introduction to this idea that we have been working on recently. It's basically applying the techniques we've talked about, correction, suggestion, and so on and so forth, to Arabic names, to persons' names. Of course, this may be constituted as part of named entity recognition or something like this, but we are trying to do something with that, and we are using it for both search and form filling, and we have been trying to deploy that at the university by including these components in our everyday life at the university. Some of them are already being used, and some are in the stage of being deployed. I will not take much of your time on this, but one of the problems that we really faced is that of the so-called legacy PDF files in Arabic. Many of you may have encountered this problem, whereby when you deal with a PDF file in Arabic, it's very unlikely that you could do the regular operations of cut, paste, and so on and so forth. We have tried to deal with this problem, and I think I have some, just if you cut this component and paste it in another program, then you may be losing something. And we have been trying to figure out if we can offer some solution to this problem. We had at different stages, we thought we reached a full solution, then turned out not to be a real full solution. So we are still trying our best, but making progress in that regard. What we plan to do next is we will try to continue to expand and clean the word collection we are having and diversify the topics. We want to observe the behavior and contrast it with other works in the field. We would like to fine-tune the lists and monitor scalability in many cases. And we would like to connect with other local work. And much of what we reported is also still work in progress, so that means also your ideas, comments, criticism are very much appreciated. Thank you for listening, and any questions?
order to fulfill his query with this search engine, or I'm not sure about whether it was a search engine or just a prototype system. Now, in terms of single word or one or short keywords, when you submit one word as the query, and you attempt to suggest for the user among the rest of examples that we will give. For example, if I submit the word Quora, maybe I have a different meaning in my mind. Like, I mean, Quora, which is different, totally different than the word Quora. Or when I submit the word, let's say, Hajj, it has many different meanings. So how do you handle the issue of synonymy in this case?
It's actually elusive.
Actually, we don't handle that at all. Basically, we try to help the user, but if the user is quite smart and very much sure about what he or she wants, then he has to take care of whatever he's trying to say. Because you mentioned too many problems in your question that are quite sophisticated, because you need to understand the meaning or the intended meaning of the word you are searching for. And as you know, probably, we have mixed feeling about that, because not all Arabic content is with diacritic. Okay, so yeah, we have. I can talk more about that, but this is the short answer.
So, other questions? So Ahmed from Institute of Law, and they are developing a search engine for legal documents in Palestine.
Okay, my question is about person names unification. What is your approach to developing this methodology through building of lists or algorithms, or and this is for Arabic name translated into English? Has my
two things. We are talking about two things, about Arabic name transliteration into Latin or into English. This is one component. And the other about the unification of the forms of writing of the name in Arabic itself. If you want, for example, the name Ahmed, we have views on how it should be written, and if the user decides to write it otherwise, we would recommend to him that he does it in the what we perceive as the correct way.
The search engine is really, for example, if I search for Ahmed,
yes,
in black and letters,
yes,
there are about 50 possibilities how to write Ahmed.
Yes, that's exactly. So you are talking about the details. Yes, that's exactly right. We would, if you are searching about Ahmed in English, for example, right, and you only used one of its forms, then we will relate it to the form of Ahmed in Arabic, and we will search not only for the correct form, if that's, but we will expand to the other forms that we know are in existence in general, in the systems in general. So we know, yeah, all is a very tough question, okay? But we have, how many? We have, I can give you numbers. We have 3,500, I think, male names and like 3,000 female names. And yeah, so we have quite a number, but not all names, because all names, I think, is maybe somebody who doesn't know Arabic may not appreciate that people in Arabic name their babies in so many different ways. So it's maybe.
Right, this is not really a question, it's more a comment related to the collaboration, because I think some of the issues you discussed, in particular with names, being able to recognize the same entity in different spellings, is one of the key issues that we should address when we work on integrating content from English, Arabic, and other Italian languages. And this is something that we should really work together with, because one thing is to recognize in a text that something must be an entity, another thing is to recognize that that thing is exactly that entity and not. And so this is an area where I think we can really do some very good work together in
Absolutely.
the Sierra project.
Absolutely, and I think if I may just add a small comment, some of these concepts are a little bit, for example, more complicated in Arabic than, for example, in Arabic, I don't know if you know that, but we don't have capitalization. Okay, so there's no way to figure that this name may, well, is like a person name out of the... So.
I'm glad that in this project I will learn a lot about the Arabic language because, sorry, this is a joke, but to me, when you say that there are thousands of names, to me are all Mustafa, Mohammed, Omar. So it's good to know that there are thousands. No, very good, very good.
I thought that's what Mustafa wanted to do when he put in the cultural aspects of the project, so that also our collaborators will appreciate that beyond Muhammad, Omar, and Ali, there are Fatin and Dima and.
Actually, Arabic words are just, Arabic names are just words. So you take any noun and you just give it as a name. It's not like Paulo that maybe does not have a meaning. So it's, yeah. Other questions?
Not there is no girl called Hope in English or, of course, you'll find the phenomenon in other languages as well. But when you go to Arabic, sometimes it's quite much.
Other questions? Ali, do you have questions? Ali is working with in this topic. Actually, I have a question. Why we don't see this like the use of names and so on in Retrieval? Retrieval is the university portal. So when I say something, when I want to send an email to someone or a message, and I just really type if there is any difference between what is stored in the database and what I write. Oh, you write in many, so it's not really that usable. Why they are not?
Two answers. Good that you are talking about that, and we tried to answer it while you were out of the room. So we are actually, so this is where Ali comes in handy. What is it that's already deployed, and what is it that you are trying to deploy now within the tech? Because we are working on that now at this moment, so it's being integrated.
We deployed some tools, like starting the names. We did deploy some tools like writing Ahmed in a form and getting all the forms connected to that form, which already been testing, I guess. It's online for some testing, and we are working on other tools. Hopefully you can see it soon in your email.
We hope that when Mustafa searches for...
Yeah, I will make sure that he gets the right answers.
And okay. For the benefit of those who are attending, because they touched our university portal, and it's, these issues are giving us a very much of a headache when we try to find something.
Sorry. The other thing I want to just to make, because I know in the Institute of Law, you really parse to find names in the legal documents, right?
Yes.
I mean, you need to do this automatically, or are you doing this manually? When you annotate legal text.
It is not related to legal documents.
No, but name recognition, names recognition, not entity recognition.
My question was about finding if you have the name that was a name in English.
Yeah.
Translate. You find the correct Arabic name. So you have more than hundreds of variations of how you can
I hope that this
Arabic name into English.
I think we are doing that. I think this is something that we can